Hello class. Today we are going to be talking about the basics of transformations. We're going to get some definitions and figure out what these things called transformations are. So let's start by filling in our definition blanks at the top of the page. To transform a shape or a figure, those are the same thing, means to change it in some way. Okay, think of the Transformers. They change shapes. In general, we can change the size of a figure. We can change its location. We can also change the direction that the figure is facing. Okay, so those are the types of changes that we can do that are called transformations. Okay, now as we're doing this, there's some basic vocabulary that we have. Okay, the figure before the transformation happens is called the pre-image. Okay, pre meaning before, or the original figure. Okay, so when we start off with a shape, that is the pre-image, that's the original. After the transformation happens, the figure is now just called the image. Okay, think of like an image in a mirror. It is not the original. It is the shape that happens in the mirror. All right, if the pre-image, okay, the original was A, okay, we have shape A. When we make an image, or after we've transformed it, we then call it A prime. Okay, this little asterisk little thing right here is called prime. Now the reason we do this is so that we know that there's a difference between the original shape and after we've transformed it. Okay, we don't want to get confused talking about two shapes that look the same but are in different locations or have changed sizes. So we have a little bit of vocabulary here. To get used to that, let's do some examples. Okay, we are going to be studying 4 different types of transformations. The first type we're going to study is called a translation. A translation is any time an image gets moved from one location to another by sliding it over. Okay? So in this example, our pre-image A, see how it's got the A right next to it? And this one has the little prime symbol next to it. That means this is the original. This is the pre-image. And that means this one right here, A prime, is the image. So if we were thinking about this, what happened to the smiley face? Okay, well, I'm going to think of the smiley face just like it was this roll of tape. The image started off in this corner, and we slid it over to the other corner. Okay, nothing else changed. The size was the same, everything else. All it did was slide to a new location. Okay, now let's look back at the smiley face and look at what that looks like. Okay, image started here, and there was a slide, and now it is in this location over here. Nothing else about the image has changed. It's just in a new location. Okay, so that's a translation, when we slide to a new location. Let's look at another type of transformation. Okay, this one right here. Let's start, this one is called B, and it is the original because it doesn't have the prime symbol. So B and B prime. Now we might be thinking, oh, it just slid over. But wait, there's something different about it. These look like mirror images. Look at the winky face. On this one, the closed eye is on the left. But on this one, the closed eye is on the right. So we did change something about the shape. Okay? This is called a reflection. Just like a reflection in a mirror will be kind of an opposite of what you actually are. Okay? So reflections are flipped or mirror images. Okay? Reflections are just like looking into a mirror. All right, this next one, we started with smiley guy right here. C is our pre-image because it does not have a little line next to it. And C prime, this is what happened after the transformation, after we changed it. So let's take a look at Mr. Smiley Guy with sunglasses. And we can see that something happened. He's not only up here, but he is kind of turned. That turn is called a rotation. Okay, if we think about it, let's take my pen. If it was like this, up and down, when I rotate it, now it is sideways. This is a rotation. Okay, or a turn. The last one we're going to look at right here, we have original figure, D. We have this winky guy with his tongue sticking out. And then, after the transformation, now the winky guy with his tongue sticking out is smaller. Okay, this is called a dilation. Okay, means we can either reduce the size or enlarge. Okay, so our figure can either get smaller or it can get bigger when we use a dilation. So these are the 4 examples that we can think of. Okay, we have translations that slide. We have reflections that flip or are mirror images of each other. We have rotations that turn. And we have dilations that either reduce or enlarge in size. So, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at some examples that we could see in the real world. Okay, on a translation, okay, we are just sliding something over. That could be like if you're at the dinner table and someone asks you to pass the salt. Okay, you're going to take the salt and you're just going to slide it over to them. A reflection, okay, we could do reflections in mirrors, or in a lake, or on your phone. Okay, all of those are reflections because your image has been flipped. Rotations, we see rotations all the time. Okay, if you've ever gone to the skate park and done a trick, okay, those are often rotations. And dilations, the most common example is when you go to the eye doctor and they do something to your eyes to make them dilate, which means that the center part of your eye, here's your eyeball, okay, a dilation takes this center part right there and makes it bigger so that the doctor can see into your eye and see what's happening. Okay, there, my beautiful eye artwork. Okay, so now we know what a translation, reflection, rotation, and dilation is. Now we're going to talk about something very, very important. Let's go to this part of the page. We're going to talk about congruence and orientation of the shape. Okay, these are some more vocabulary words. So let's fill in our definitions and then we'll get through some examples. Okay, congruence refers to whether the pre-image and image have the same size, Okay, nothing's been changed as far as how big it is, and the same shape. If we think back to our smiley faces over here, for 3 of these are congruent because after we moved the shape, it was still the same size and the same shape. Okay, see how these are the same? It's just been moved. These are the same, it's just been moved. These are the same. But a dilation is not congruent because these are not the same size. They still look like the same shape, but they're not the same size. So this is not congruent. Okay, so that was easy enough. That's congruence, means the same size and shape. The orientation of the shape of the figure refers to whether the pre-image and the image are facing the same direction. I'm just going to underline that right there. And last, the orientation of the vertices. Ooh, that's a fancy word. We might need to define that as well. Vertices refers to the order in which the vertices are labeled, clockwise or counterclockwise. Okay, now we're going to pause here because we've got a word, vertice, that we also need to define. Now since I don't have room or a fill-in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this room on the outside, and I'm going to write it down. A vertice is the corners of the shape. Okay, so if I had a triangle, and this triangle is called A, B, C, these corners right here, where I've given them letters, these are the vertices. So when we're talking about the orientation of the vertices, we're just saying, where are these corners? Are they in the location that they started in, or have they moved? Okay, so now let's look at our example problems. What we're supposed to be doing is they're going to ask us what type of transformation happened. Now since this is the pre-image right here, and I can tell that this one looks like a mirror image, so this is called a reflection. Congruence? Is it the same shape and size? Yes. Yes, it is. Did the orientation of the figure change? Well, yes. You can see that, look at this point C. It's no longer on the right side. It's on the other side. So this has changed. Are the vertices in the same place? Again, no, because C and A are not in the same place. So they have changed. Let's look at number 2. If we start with our pre-image, this one, and we move to the image with the primes, what has happened? Well, it looks like this shape has been slid over here. So anything that is a slide is called a translation. Is it congruent? Yes. Did the orientation change? No, because all of the figure and the vertices are the same. Now this one looks funny because we have this shape and it's inside of the other shape. Because it changed sizes, I can see that this rectangle has gotten bigger. That is a dilation. Is it congruent? No. Did the orientation change? No, there's no change. And last, this one right here looks like it has been turned. That is a rotation. Is it congruent? Yes. Did the orientation change? Yes.